We started off the game in a pretty good place. They did a good job working some RPO things, which slowed our guys down a little bit. And, it hurt not having AJ, but, as you take away, like, we always talk about, hey, man, there's some good teams in this league with good weapons. And if you take away one thing, it makes you soft to something else. And they did a good job, going back and forth between those two things. I think the guys battled really hard. I was excited about, Walt getting a pick down there tight, to keep it in there and keep us in the game, And I thought we did all right on third down. There's a couple that you'd like to have back. But overall, we've been playing good on third down all year.
Is going from Texas to West Virginia a pretty big difference from a schematic perspective?
I think that it depends on what West Virginia team shows up, I suppose. They have been spreading the ball around and working some stretch games, so that's a lot different, but early in the season they're very similar. If you kind of look at their whole body of work, there's some similarities between those two teams, especially early in the season. They were a lot closer than you would think, So to see what they're going to come out in and what they're going to do, it'll be interesting. You got to have a plan for them to spread it around and throw the ball over the place, and you got to have a plan for them to kind of do the stuff that they did early in the year. That Texas really kind of ran against us also. So you got to have a plan for both.
You see any difference in the two quarterbacks they
They're
have?
similar. We had a chance to watch two last year because he was at Bowling Green. So we did a little preparation for him, and he's a good RPO guy. He knows how to run the system. He did a good job when he was there at Bowling Green. When he got into the game, this last week, there's so little tape on it. You can't totally make a judgment out of that time that he was in. But he's a good player and understands how to run an offense. He's got a lot of experience playing college football. So, but they're pretty similar guys. They both are very efficient in what they do. Neither one of them turns the ball over a lot. You know what I mean? They don't make really horrible decisions. And really they're not taking sacks right now. Which it was a great deal for them. He's getting rid of the football when he needs to, and just running it when he has to too.
Your corners are giving quite a bit of height as receivers. What do you coach in that situation?
Stay in front of them, and make them come back to the ball. Really, and that's what you're really looking for. Is if you can take a big guy off the line, then sometimes you can win if he gets a release by using his weight, or his size against you. Then you really got to do a good job of staying on top because, once they get downfield behind you, it's hard to make plays on those. Just the different height things, and every corner will play it a little bit different, depending on his style. But really staying on top is the number one thing, because if you give up a 70-yarder, that'll kill you fast. If you give up 5 15-yard plays as they work their way down the field, at different times, well, you got a chance that they're going to mess up at some point, or we're going to make one play. And that happened a few times for us, fortunately, in that Texas game. They messed up a couple times. They gave us opportunities to get off the field, and we got a pick on that one drive, which gave us an opportunity to get off the field. So that's really what you look for. You like people to have to drive and get multiple play drives against you, because the chance of them messing up or us making a play, that goes up with every play you get.
How much extra gets put on your guys' plate in a situation like this where, number one, you don't know necessarily which quarterback you're going to face, and then number two, if they go with one of the two quarterbacks, there's not a lot of film on it?
Yeah, I think that it's one of those deals you just got to play who's going to show up. There's a reason why there's a starter and there's a backup most of the year. You get to see who they are. I think with every game you kind of go into too, it's a little bit of a deal where you say, every team's going to do a little something different. Like Texas came out and really did a lot of different things against us that we had to adjust to. And it's going to be like that with every game. Everyone's going to come in and look at what you do, your style of defense, and what we do is different, than most of the teams in the league. There's TCU who's 4 down, and there's Oklahoma who's 4 down. Sometimes. So for us it's hard to compare. Sometimes you got to look for those clips on tape and say, hey, they look like us. What are they going to do against those teams? And then you got to make your best guess. And they could come in, just like our offense would go into spring ball, and they're going to do different stuff against us than they do when they're playing all these 3-down teams. It's a different philosophy for every team. So there's always a little bit of adjustment there at the beginning, through really the first quarter of every game to figure out what they're going to do versus you. And I think that's what we got this week too.
What do you think you guys could have done better on that 3rd and 14 they converted late?
That's one of those things that, we ran a blitz that's been very successful for us most of the year. I think that, Texas did the best job of counting, switching the formation, counting again just to double check we were in it. You know, they kind of gambled on it. You know, if I could have it all over to shoot, I'd love to get out of the call and get to something else, you know, that we've worked on. But, you know, it was one of those things, you know, it comes down to us being able to rush on our blitzes, you know, and we got stuck on them because they did ID it, and it's a hard blitz to ID and pick up. And they did a good job with that, you know, and the one-on-one matchup that ended up on the sideline, you know, and you'd say, you know, I mean, those plays are going to happen sometimes. I mean, you can't turn around and say, hey, it's a deal that you'd say, well, that's a bad deal. I mean, those plays happen. You know, you look at it and you say, geez, I mean, I know it was a critical time, but you could say any third down in that game was a critical time. You know, if we blitz a couple times earlier and we make plays on them, we say, hey, good job. You know, and it's one of those things. Every time you blitz, someone's band's going to play, right? I mean, that's kind of how it works. Either we're off the field and we're happy, or they're over there getting happy and we got to defend some more plays. So we hope that it works out in our favor most of the time. But it's one of those things that, you know, it comes down to a one-on-one matchup, and really that one came down to like 4 one-on-one matchups. You know, we lost all 3 up front, you know, with the blitzers, and we lost the one on the edge. And so that's going to happen sometimes.
Skyler's only 1 interception this year. Has he been that hard to pick off in practice when you guys go up against him too, or have you guys had a little more success, I guess?
Yeah, you know, early in camp, you know, we did okay against him, but he really started to. I guess I can't remember any on the top of my head lately in practice. You know, we go against each other every once in a while, and he's been throwing the ball well. So we hope he continues that streak, man. He's a good player.
Scottie, what can you say about Trey Deshawn and what he's meant to this defense this year?
You know, I mean, he's a guy that his leadership shows up every week, just how he approaches the game. You know, he is definitely the guy in that defensive tackle room that they all look to, and that position group. I mean, if you really watch those guys, they do some amazing things. I mean, they'll make plays downfield with their effort. You know, they have not. I would say those guys in that room have not been manhandled by anybody in our conference or that we've played. You know, and it's great to see just the toughness and the fight that he brings every day. You know, it's just he's a steady leader that really works hard for us. And I mean, those guys have made some big plays. You know, I remember, you know, because they all burst and they all expect each other to do those things, and he, along with Mitty and those guys, hold those guys such a high standard. Like, I know like 4 or 5 plays in the Texas game that they made plays on balls downfield, you know, passes that were thrown and they turned around and ran. I remember the one against Oklahoma where, they went up and got the ball, and we tried to and missed it, and the dude caught it, and then we missed a tackle, and Mitty made it, you know, and it was on a 3rd down and long too, and you know, we make that play, heck, we got a chance. If we don't make that play, well, you know, who knows with how they were scoring, who knows what happens, you know, when you get some of those plays, and he's done a great job really leading that room.
Before the season started, I think it was when you first got here, you said he was one of the guys that you really wanted to sit down one-on-one with and get to know. What's something that you learned about him that you really appreciate? You
know, I just think that his, you know, I like his ink first of all, but he's just a classic guy. He's a guy's guy, man. He's like a dude that, you know, if you were in college with him, you would hang out and drink beer with this guy just because he's a good dude. You know, I mean, that's who he is. I mean, he's a guy that's not afraid to say it like it is. He's not afraid to. He doesn't really have to sugarcoat things. He's just, you know, you find those humble guys that are that I think are honest and humble, and they do things right, and those are the guys that you want to be around, and you'd like to see your kids grow up and people like that. You know, he's a good dude like that.
How well did you feel like the corners did in general with their roles changing a bit with AJ out?
You know, solid. I think that those guys, you know, they gave great effort. I know that, you know, they got some plays made on them at the same time. You know, I think that some of the matchups were hard there too, and you know, I think that they're getting better. You know, I mean, we try to stress them with the best that we have on the scout team every day, and we get our receivers down there sometimes to work against them too. And I think that they're going to continue to improve. And like we say, it's got to be the next man up. And if we have to put more stress on guys like Trey and the front guys, well, we have to do that sometimes. But you're short, you know, so it's a give and take thing, you know. And they're holding up. We just can't do it to them as much as maybe we used to, you know, when we had more guys just to roll.
So there's a video that came out yesterday about after practice, Josh Young led beat Dalton Schoen in a foot race. And not that you want one of your guys to do it, but who would you toss out there for the defense to
Oh, shoot, I don't even know.
Foot race?
I didn't even see that.
But I'm saying, who for your unit, who would it be?
I don't know. I mean, me, I would say some young guy that's not going to play. That's what I would say. You know what I mean? I'd be like, hey, I don't want those guys wasting 100 yards. They got some things to run on down on Saturday. But I don't know who it would be. You know, a young guy, put out Logan Wilson or, I don't know. I'd put out any of those young corners, let them go run, or a safety, that's probably not going to get a lot of snaps on Saturday.